And the week continues with Greek. So today's Greek is Acts 2:43 through 45, doing 3 verses, but they're fairly short. So see if you can pronounce it. Okay, here's how I would pronounce it. Egeneto de passe suke phobos, palate terata kai semea dia ton apostolon egeneto. Verse 44. Pontes de hoi pistuontes esan epito auto kai ekon hapanta koina. Verse 45. Kai ta clemata kai tas huparxes epiproskon, that's a nice one, epiproskon, kai diameridzon auta passen kathoti antis crayon aken. Okay, now see if you can pronounce it, translate it. And here's my translation. And this is a procrastinator, never comes where it's supposed to, post-positive, but we translate it first. And it came to pass, or it came to be, or it was coming to be. Interesting, this is a imperfect. That's not usual. And it was coming to be, and it was happening, and it began to happen, and it came, it was coming. A fear was coming, a phobos, a phobia, phobos, a fear, this is nominative, a fear was coming to every soul, to every person. It's not talking about detachable soul, cut it at the dotted line and, send to heaven. It's talking about person. Fear was coming upon to every soul, and, another post-positive, and many wonders and signs through the apostles were coming to be, were happening, imperfect of ginomai. Verse 44, and all the ones who believed, all the ones who were believing, so this is a participle, my aunt is an active participle, and with the article on it, we're going to use a who, the who believing ones, the one, we have to stick a ones in there. This is called the substantive use, because there's no noun, we have to come up with one. Watch me pull up, ones out of a hat. So the ones who were believing, all the ones who were believing, were into the same. This is the identical use of autos. When autos has the article on it, it means same. The ones who were believing were into the same, were in the same, and they were having all things common. This is the imperfect of echo. It's weird. It's irregular. They were having, they were holding all things in common. That is, they didn't consider, if you want my coffee, I share my coffee with you. Not just want, if you need my coffee. Now, if you really need my coffee, I will share with you, but only if you need it, because I need it too. Anyway, verse 45, and the possessions and the possessions, I think I put and the properties and the possessions, but these are kind of synonyms, I think. And the stuff and the stuff, they were selling, imperfect tense, and they were distributing them to all as someone was having need. On is the little bomb. It throws everything up in the air, makes everything contingent. It is an untranslatable particle, conditional particle, but it basically makes everything contingent. And just as everyone would have need, it's not assuming that they would have a need, but if somebody had a need, then they shared and considered their possessions to be in common. You need something, I have it, you can share it. You need I don't need this, you need it, here it is. So they considered all their stuff to be in common. Okay, now for the interlinear. As I said, this is imperfect because all the letters, gen, it's gen, G-E-N, when it's aorist or some other principal part. So the G-I-N indicates that this is imperfect. It was coming about. Fear was coming about. Or it might be an inceptive imperfect. Fear began to come to every soul. And many wonders and signs, these are accusative, neuter plural alpha, through the apostles' work was coming to be. Verse 44, and all the ones who believed, you can see here that 2 words in Greek, and I translated it with 4. By the way, at the end of this, I have a reminder on how to translate participles, so hold that thought. they were in the same, and they were having all things common. And the properties and the possessions and the pudding pops, they were selling, and they were distributing them, personal pronoun there, to all as ever someone would be having. Okay, any questions? Oh, you can ask me. Actually, you can. Go ahead and post them in YouTube, and I will answer them as best I can. Okay, the parsings today. Wrong, I made a mistake. This is not aorist. This is imperfect because it's the G-I-N. I did that just to test you. Okay, so it's imperfect. It is middle deponent because, again, oh my, it's a deponent. Genomai is thoroughly deponent. Every tense, every form, genomai deponent. So imperfect, middle deponent, indicative, third singular. Yep. This is my aunt is an active participle. All the letters of the present are there, see? So it's present. Nominative masculine plural, archon, antos, anti, antes, nominative plural ending. Nominative masculine plural. From pistuo, to believe. Acon is irregular. This is the imperfect of echo. I've just memorized it. Sorry. It is third plural. They were having. On, on. So on is both a first person singular and a third person plural, past tense active. We say that's a secondary active ending. Indicative. And then epiproskon. This one threw me off because epi is a preposition. And so I looked at that and I thought, how can this be imperfect? Because it doesn't have an augment. But epi is not a preposition. Epsilon is an augment. The word is piprosko, sneaky. And so the epsilon is not the epsilon of epi. It is the epsilon that is the augment. So it is the present. See, it's the present stem with an augment, which tells me it's imperfect. And that's that same own ending, third person plural, active indicative from piprosko. Fun word, not very common. Okay, 3 stages of participle translation. Just to remind you, I've been saying this the last couple of videos audibly, and I thought I'd go ahead and write it down for you. So I translate participles, well, I don't, but when I teach how to translate participles, I teach it in 3 stages. First, the ing form. So start with the ing form. Sometimes that's good enough. So if it's present active participle, loosing, ing, just add an ing. If it is a present passive participle, then being loosed, or whatever. If it's aorist active or perfect active, translated as having loosed. And then if it's an aorist passive participle, translated as having been loosed. That'll get you going. Second, Ken's rule. If it has an article, use who or which. If not, use while or after. Actually, the while and after doesn't necessarily work all the time. The question here is whether it's a participle that's functioning as an adjective, whether it's a participle that's functioning as an adverb. And of course, it can also be periphrastic. That's where you have was walking, were talking, where you have a form of the verb to be and the participle. Periphrastics are usually pretty easy. We've seen a lot of them in Acts 1 and 2. Adjectival is where you stick the who or the which on it, or that, the one that I was talking about. The adverbial ones have more nuances than while and or after. While and after are only when the adverbial participle has a timing emphasis, a temporal, but there are all kinds of other emphases, since, if, anyway. But this is a kind of beginning Greek saying. And then the last one is to clean up. Clean up on aisle 6. So get the tenses right. Remember, aorist, had, past tense, use had in your fix-it translation. And just use common sense, basically. Don't use bad English. Bad English is never a good translation. This is the funny thing about learning Greek. Sometimes people feel like I have to use bad English to have a good translation. That makes no sense at all. The purpose of a translation is to translate. And so you want smooth English in your translation. Don't leave it crazy. And there you have it for today. This has been Acts 2, I think, what was it, 41, 42? We're almost done. One more day, and we'll be done with Acts chapter 2.